Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? All right, I know it's hot. It's literally 100 degrees out, but I need a little bit more energy than that. How's everyone feeling? Excited to be here? Amazing. All right. All right, good morning everyone. Welcome to Permissionless. Thank you all so much for coming out. Can I get a show of hands? This is the 4th time we've hosted Permissionless. Who has been here at least one time before? All right, this is great. I appreciate it. Well, if this is your first time, you might be looking behind me at these signs and seeing Permissionless 4. See that 4 sign at the end of Permissionless? And if I were in your shoes, I'd be asking, why are you calling it Permissionless 4? Why not just call it Permissionless year over year like everyone else? And the reason for that is because we want this to stand out as a moment in time. And the idea of each one of these conferences as we host is to capture the zeitgeist of the moment. And when I was thinking, what is the best way to do that for this particular year, I actually went back and listened to perhaps the greatest speech ever given in all of crypto, but certainly at a Permissionless conference, which was Eric Voorhees. So 2 years ago, Eric Voorhees got up on this stage, and he delivered, I think, one of the greatest speeches of all time. Did anyone listen to that speech? All right, love that. So the title of this speech was, "Why Are We Here?" Now, I highly recommend that anyone that didn't just raise their hand go and listen to that speech. But on the off chance that you do not take my recommendation and immediately pull up YouTube, I took the liberty of grabbing some of my favorite quotes from Eric Voorhees' speech. "Permission is what the kindergartner obtains to go to the bathroom." Banger. All right. "Consider all of these people in traditional finance who go to work every day with dead eyes and weak hearts." So my apologies to anyone that works in traditional finance in this room. Eric does not mince his words at all. But the point of this speech was to give a reminder and a jolt of inspiration for why we were here. And I think these types of speeches from leaders and OGs like Eric Voorhees is something that crypto does really, really well. We do these really fiery, cypherpunk-inspired speeches, and if I were to guess, I would guess that many of you listen to these, and it's a huge part of why you got into the space. It certainly was for me. I listened to guys like Andreas Antonopoulos and Eric Voorhees, and it inspired me. But when I went back at this particular moment in time, as inspired as I was, I couldn't help but feel that something was missing. A huge percentage of this speech resonated with me. It got me all fired up. But it didn't 100% resonate with why I originally got into crypto in the first place. And to me, what is missing when people talk about why this industry is so great to work in, people do not emphasize the opportunity enough and the builders enough. So when I first got into this space, I saw a movement. And I saw an industry that had a huge amount of potential and opportunity, and I saw the ability to get in at the ground floor. I saw the opportunity to make a lot of money. I saw an industry that was filled with brilliant people that have a penchant for being countercultural, for pushing the boundaries, and a healthy bit of degeneracy. Actually, quite a bit of degeneracy. We could use slightly less degeneracy, but still, it's really engaging and enthralling, and that is what got me hooked on this space, and it's why I can never imagine working anywhere else. Now, I don't think I'm saying anything that people in this room don't already know. But it feels important to say because crypto is succeeding. The tent is getting bigger. We are drawing new types of people and builders into this ecosystem. And the cypherpunk values and fiery speeches that got us here are great. We should keep those in our hearts and in our minds. But it's okay that not everyone who moves into the space today is going to feel that way. They're going to have different motivations and different reasons for building and doing the things that they do. So even as someone that's been in this industry for about 8 years, I just don't hear this nearly enough. We all talk about the cypherpunk values and the properties of decentralized protocols, but I think it's okay to just say this is an industry that's going to take off like a freaking rocket ship, and everyone should be really, really excited to work here. Now, the good news is that since 2023, we've actually done exactly that. We've built. And if you work in crypto, this space feels famously uneven, right? It's very cyclical. Sometimes it's so over, sometimes we are so back. There is almost never just a nice in-between. But if you actually look at the data, it tells a slightly different story. It tells a story of an industry which is slowly, inexorably moving up and to the right across a number of key metrics. And so I wanted to take the opportunity today to highlight some of what this industry is getting right as told by the data. All right, so what we're looking at here is application revenue. And for all of these charts, I decided to take a freeze frame from the moment in time that Eric gave his speech at the very bottom of the industry in 2023, when it felt like everything was going wrong. And I want to show what we as an industry have accomplished since that moment in time. So this is the sum of all revenue which is generated across Ethereum, Solana, Layer 2s, et cetera. And as you can see, if you're looking at this chart over the past couple of years, it has probably felt up and down and wavy. But if you look at this metric, everything is going up and to the right. And at the time Eric gave his speech back in Q3 of 2023, we did 316 million. The entire application ecosystem did 316 million of revenue. In Q1 of this year, we did over 2.1 billion. That is almost a 10x, and it has been straight up and to the right. This next chart is called Network REV. So REV is a value accrual metric that captures the total cost that users incur of interacting with a blockchain. So this is standard sort of base fees, and it's also priority tips that people will pay to validators. This is great because it's kind of the top-line ARR metric of blockchains. And it tells, again, a highly consistent story that people are willing to pay to use these chains. Next, it's a little bit faint here, but I think this is my absolute favorite chart in crypto. This is the ratio of SEX to DEX spot volume. This felt like a pipe dream back especially in 2022 when we first started tracking this. But now we're at almost 50%. And the reason why this is so exciting, this is a foreshadow of another chart that I'm going to show you, is this is just the constant, inexorable move of activity, volume, and trading from centralized infrastructure to decentralized on-chain infrastructure. And it also says that people are interested in trading the long tail of assets, the net new things that we are creating in crypto. All right, this is stablecoins. And I'm cheating here a little bit because the chart on the left is not from 2023, but it looks way better when I show it like this. So I'm showing it like this. But this is circulating supply of stablecoins as well as daily transaction volume. Now, you can see from this chart, everything is up and to the right. What's not included here is the Treasury Secretary of the United States, Scott Bessent, who recently predicted $2 trillion of stablecoin market cap by 2028. And then he went and doubled that to $3.7 trillion of stablecoins on-chain by the end of the decade. This is exploding up and to the right, and it's in no small part due to builders like you all in this audience. Finally, this is one of my favorite charts. Shout out to Galaxy for putting this together. If you're looking at this, that spike in 2021 is a huge part of actually what took us down in 2022. That was centralized CeFi-based lending. But what we've seen is the recreation and the reconstruction of the credit complex in crypto, but it's not happening on opaque, centralized lending books. It is happening on decentralized infrastructure that everyone can look at on-chain. Okay, so why am I showing you guys all of these charts? One, I want to highlight the incredible work that builders, like all of you in this room, have done. There is, clap, be excited. There is so much that everyone in here should be proud of. And I also want permissionless, as I try to capture the zeitgeist of this moment in time, it's to celebrate builders and to highlight another reason for what might motivate them and all of you in this audience. And going back to Eric's magnum opus, if I can try to build on it or contribute to his original line of thinking in any way, if he was interested in asking the question, why are we all here? I wanted to ask today, why do we build? It sounds similar, but it's slightly different. Nikola Tesla once said, "The present is theirs. The future, for which I worked, is really mine." And if you have been working in crypto for a long time, you know exactly what it means to work for the future. The best builders that I know in this space all share this same deep underlying motivation. They have a deep sense of dissatisfaction with the status quo. And usually that's a bad word, but in this case, it's a good word. It is a refusal to accept things for being good enough. It is the way that it is. That's okay. This is how we've always done it. Builders are dissatisfied with that answer, and that is a good thing. That is what we celebrate. So, that builder's itch, this non-negotiable impulse to drag an alternate future into the present, that is what this conference, Permissionless, is dedicated towards. Now, to end this, and to tie it all off, I want to actually end with a direct quote from Eric Voorhees' speech, because I thought it was so beautiful. And it ties this cypherpunk ethos that we want to keep with what I think is this builder mentality. Yes, we are condemned by the system that we aim to replace. Some of us endure persecution, and all of us, periodically, pain. But friends, try to see through those struggles. Be grateful for every noble challenge that you face in your work, for you are alive, and your work is important. And that is as true today as it was when Eric first said it back in 2023. So, thank you all for listening to me ramble for a little bit. And thank you all for listening to me speak for a little bit. And I want to actually introduce some of the themes of this year's conference. And you actually saw it in the charts and the data that I showed. So you are going to be hearing from one thing that I didn't mention. This is a class that Eric Voorhees did not like very much. But you are going to be hearing from several of our very well-intentioned policymakers who are leading things forward in the right way for our industry. So one of the differences in between the zeitgeist of 2023 and today is there's been a complete about-face, and many well-intentioned regulators and policymakers and leaders on the political front are on our side. And so, for this first speech, actually, we're going to be hearing from Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, very soon. Additionally, we're going to be hearing about how people are moving RWAs and stablecoins on-chain. So, we've all seen the charts. We know what's happening with transactions and market cap and flows moving on-chain, but the devil is truly in the details. There are going to be massive businesses built, but there are still big challenges that we have to face. What layer of permissioning is acceptable? What jurisdictions can we operate? Who do we need sign-off for on various regulators? We're going to be getting into the weeds and hearing about all of that. And then finally, we are going to hear from the developers and builders that are building the decentralized future that we all hoped might exist someday back in early 2021 and 2022. I cannot tell you how cool it is and how encouraged I am to see in the metrics what we all hoped to be true back then, which is activity, volume, trading, moving from centralized to decentralized counterparts. So we are lucky to be blessed with some of the people that are actually building these solutions. They're in the weeds every day, again, pulling this reality forward. All right, that's as long as I can hear myself talk. Guys, are you ready to hear from Mayor Adams? All right, thank you all for listening and coming out, introducing Eric Adams. Cheers, guys.